Here in the Coffee Video Storage class, I have added a breakpoint in the check if blob exists async method. Let's run the application. I click Add Video and I select the video, and this time I select the skateboarder MP4 file and I click Add Video. Now you see this check if blob exists async method is called. When I scroll up, you can see I have also a breakpoint in the upload video async method. This means that the check if blob exists async method is called before the upload video async method. Now let's look at the call stack. Let's double click on this method here, and you see we are in the Add Coffee dialog view model. This is the view model that is used for this Add Coffee video dialog. You see that it calls the check if blob exists async method on the Coffee Video Storage object, and if this method returns true, the user will see a message, a blob with the name, blob name exists already. Please select another name, thanks. But as you know, our check if blob exists async method always returns false, which means a blob is just overridden if it already exists. Now let's continue to upload this skateboarder blob to blob storage. Okay, the skateboarder MP4 file is uploading. Now it's in blob storage. Now let's stop the application and let's implement the check if blob exists async method. When you look at the cloud blob, you can see that it has an exists async method. So we can use this method to check if the blob with that name exists already. But to get a blob, we need to call this getBlobReference method with a blob name. And to do this, we need the cloud blob container. So let's actually mark this whole block here to create a storage account, to create a cloud blob client, and to grab the Coffee Videos container, and let's extract it into a separate method. So I press Ctrl dot and I select Extract Method. Let's call the method getCoffeeVideosContainerAsync. And of course, we can use the var keyword here. Now I just copy these two lines and I scroll down to our check if blob exists async method and I paste the two lines here. We get the cloud blob container and we get a reference for that blob with the blob name. Now we can just return await cloud blob exists async. Before we start the application, let's go to Edit, Outlining, and let's collapse the definitions. I usually put the private methods to the bottom. Let's do this here. Now this class looks good to me. Let's run the application. Before we add a video, let's switch to the Azure portal to see what's already there. As you can see in our Coffee Videos container, we have 3 MP4 files: Coffee Machine, Programmer, and Skateboarder. Now let's try to upload the skateboarder again. Let me bring up the Coffee Video admin app. I click on Add Video and I select the skateboarder video again. And I click Open. And I select Add Video. Now the check if blob exists async method is called. Here we grab the container, then we get a blob reference, and we call the exists async method on that cloud blob. I press F5 and you can see the user gets a message, a blob with the name skateboarder MP4 exists already. Please select another name. Thanks. So I can close this and I can name this here, for example, skateboarder 2. And now I can select Add Video, check if blob exists async is called again, this time with the name skateboarder 2 MP4, and I hit continue. The upload video async method is called, I click continue again, and now the skateboarder 2 MP4 file is uploaded to blob storage. Okay, it's uploaded, let's go to the Azure portal. Here on the container I click refresh, and now you can see skateboarder 2 MP4 is here. But of course, as it is exactly the same video as the skateboarder MP4, I delete this video again. Let's go back to Visual Studio. Now you have implemented the logic in this Coffee Video Storage class to upload videos to blob storage and to check if a blob exists already in blob storage. Before we wrap up what you have learned in this module, let me show you how you can use the Azure Storage Explorer and Visual Studio's Cloud Explorer to manage your blob storage service and how you can develop locally with the Azure Storage Emulator.